You know that feeling when the week gets so full and scattered that you lose track of what actually matters. But what if the solution wasn't another complicated system but something simpler and more gentle than you think? Today, we're talking about how to create a weekly reset that makes life feel less chaotic. This matters because without a small pause to realign, the days can start to blur together and drain your energy. When you practice this one reset consistently, you might notice a quiet sense of clarity and control returning to your week. The key mistake most people make is trying to plan everything perfectly, when the real shift is about letting go of that pressure. In this video, I'll walk you through a calm, step-by-step process to build your own weekly reset that actually fits your life. So let's start by looking at the one simple question that can change how you approach your entire week. A weekly reset is simply a dedicated time each week to pause and prepare for what's ahead. It's not about adding more to your schedule, but about creating a sense of calm and control. Think of it as a gentle checkpoint where you tidy up your mind and your space. You might review your plans, clear out clutter, or just breathe for a moment without rushing. Many people assume it has to be a long, complicated ritual, but it really doesn't. The real value comes from the feeling of starting a new week with less mental fog. It's a simple practice that helps you feel more grounded and less reactive. This idea of a reset is the foundation for everything we'll explore together today. When life feels chaotic, our well-being often takes the first hit. A weekly reset matters because it gives you a chance to catch your breath before stress builds up. It helps you shift from feeling overwhelmed to feeling prepared, which is a huge relief. Without this pause, small worries can pile up and turn into bigger anxiety. You might notice that your patience runs thin or your sleep gets worse when you skip this step. Having a regular reset protects your energy and keeps your mind clearer. It's like giving yourself permission to slow down so you can move forward with more ease. This is why it's not just a nice idea, but a real tool for everyday peace. Without a weekly reset, life can feel like you're always playing catch-up. You might wake up on Monday already tired and unsure where to start. Tasks blend together, and you lose track of what actually needs your attention. There's a constant, low-level stress that never really goes away. You might find yourself forgetting appointments or feeling guilty about things you didn't do. The week becomes a blur, and by Friday you're exhausted without knowing why. This lack of structure can make even small problems feel much bigger than they are. Recognizing this pattern is the first step toward wanting something different. As you start thinking about your own weekly reset, I would love to hear from you. What is one small thing you want to try first? Maybe it is setting aside 10 minutes on Sunday or just writing down 3 priorities. Feel free to share that in the comments below. Your idea might help someone else who is watching. While you are here, hitting the like button helps more people find this video. And if you have not already, consider subscribing so you do not miss the next one. Thanks for being part of this conversation. One of the biggest blocks is the belief that you don't have time for a reset. Many people think they need to be productive every single moment to keep up. Another pattern is waiting until you feel motivated, which rarely happens when you're already drained. Some folks also fall into the habit of just pushing through without any pause at all. There's a common misunderstanding that a reset has to be perfect or it doesn't count. These habits keep you stuck in a cycle of reacting instead of choosing how to move forward. The truth is, even 10 minutes can make a real difference if you use them intentionally. Letting go of these blocks opens the door to a much calmer way of living. The most important shift is seeing the reset as an act of kindness, not another chore. You have to stop treating it as something you have to do and start seeing it as something you get to do. This change in perspective makes the whole process feel lighter and more inviting. Instead of thinking, I should reset, try thinking, I deserve this pause. Many people resist because they feel guilty taking time for themselves, but that guilt is misleading. When you care for your own clarity, you show up better for everything else in your life. This mindset shift is small, but it changes how you approach the entire practice. Once you embrace this, the next step becomes much easier to take. The first practical step is to pick a single time each week that you can protect for yourself. It doesn't have to be a long block, just 30 minutes on a Sunday afternoon or a quiet evening. During that time, simply sit with a notebook or your phone and write down what's coming up. You don't need to organize everything perfectly, just get the thoughts out of your head. A common mistake is trying to plan every detail, which turns the reset into pressure. The goal here is just to create a small space where you can breathe and see the week ahead. This one simple action can reduce that scattered feeling almost immediately. From here, you can slowly build on this foundation in the next part of the video. Let's talk about what a weekly reset actually looks like when you're just going about your regular week. It's not about having a perfectly clean house or a color-coded calendar, but about feeling a little more in control. You might notice that Monday morning feels less like a scramble because you already know what's coming. Maybe you spent 20 minutes on a Sunday evening looking at the week ahead and writing down just 3 things you really want to get done. The rest of the week, you don't feel that constant low-grade panic about forgetting something important. Instead, you have a quiet sense that even if things get messy, you have a simple plan to return to. This looks like choosing one small window of time each week to pause, check in with yourself, and reset your intentions. That small pause often makes the difference between feeling like you're surviving the week versus actually living it. One daily habit that makes your weekly reset much easier is a quick 5-minute evening check-in. This isn't about journaling for an hour or reviewing every task you didn't finish. It's simply asking yourself one question. What's the one thing I want to remember about today? You can jot it down on a sticky note or just say it out loud before you go to bed. This practice helps you recognize small wins and patterns that you can bring into your weekly reset conversation. Over time, you start to see that your weekly reset isn't just a Sunday chore, it becomes a natural extension of how you close each day. And when Sunday comes, you already have a few clear observations to guide your planning. It makes the reset feel less like starting from scratch and more like continuing a gentle rhythm. If you want more simple, practical ideas like this one, there is a place for that. Over at www.happylifetribe.com, you will find articles and resources on building a calmer daily life. It is not about big overhauls or complicated routines. It is about small, gentle shifts that actually fit into your real life. You will find encouragement for staying grounded when things feel busy. There are also tips for creating more space for what matters to you. It is all free and meant to support you along the way. So if that sounds helpful, feel free to stop by anytime. A common mistake people make with a weekly reset is trying to schedule every single hour of the week. They think more structure means less chaos, but it often backfires and creates more pressure. When you overplan, you leave no room for actual life to happen, and then you feel like you failed if something shifts. The real purpose of a reset is to create a flexible framework, not a rigid prison for your time. Another version of this mistake is waiting until you feel perfectly motivated to start the reset, which almost never happens. Instead, the reset works best when you do it even when you're tired or distracted, because that's when you need it most. The key is to keep your reset simple, maybe just 3 priorities for the week and one time block for yourself. Don't overcomplicate it. The goal is clarity, not control over every minute. To make a weekly reset feel realistic, you need to let go of the idea that it has to be a big production. You don't need a special notebook, a clean desk, or an hour of uninterrupted time. The most realistic reset I've ever done took about 10 minutes while I was waiting for laundry. You can do it in the car before you go inside your house, or while you sip coffee on a Saturday morning. And if you miss a week, you don't have to punish yourself, just start again the next week. The point is not perfection but consistency, and consistency comes from making it so easy you can't say no. Pick one simple ritual that fits your life right now, like writing down 3 priorities on a sticky note. Once that feels natural, you can gradually add more if you want, but there's no rush. When you start doing a regular weekly reset, the first thing you might notice is a quiet drop in that background anxiety. Your brain no longer has to hold everything in memory because you've given it a safe place to land each week. You begin to feel more trust in yourself because you're keeping a small promise to check in with your own life. There's also a surprising sense of relief when you realize you don't have to do everything this week. You just have to do the few things that matter most. Over time, you might find yourself less reactive when something unexpected happens because you have a mental anchor. You know you have a weekly reset coming up where you can adjust your plan and get back on track. This emotional shift from chaos to calm happens slowly, but it's one of the most sustainable changes for your overall well-being. And as that calm grows, you start to actually look forward to your reset rather than dreading it. Life will inevitably get busy, and the weekly reset is often the first thing we drop when things feel full. To keep momentum, you have to treat the reset as a non-negotiable, but in a gentle way. That means when you're truly overwhelmed, you shrink the reset down to just 2 minutes, look at your calendar, and pick one priority. The most important thing is to keep the pattern alive, even if it's just a bare-bones version of itself. Another trick is to pair your reset with something you already do, like having your morning coffee on Sunday. That way you're not adding a new task, just layering a helpful habit onto an existing one. And remember, if you skip a week, you haven't ruined everything. Your reset is flexible by design. So when life picks up again, you already have a simple way to come back to center, which naturally leads into how to make this reset last long term. Over time, this weekly reset stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a natural part of your week. You begin to notice small changes in how you move through your days with more ease. The chaos doesn't disappear completely, but it no longer controls how you feel. You might find yourself looking forward to your reset time because it gives you a sense of control. Eventually, you start to notice patterns in your week that you can adjust before they become problems. This gradual shift helps you feel more grounded and less reactive to whatever comes up. The real benefit is that you trust yourself more to handle busy moments without panic. Let's look at what happens when you still hit a bump in the road. One of the best parts of building a calmer life is not having to do it alone. When you join the community at www.happylifetribe.com, you connect with others who are trying the same things. People share what works for them, and you can share what works for you. It is a space for encouragement, not comparison. You will find support for staying consistent with small habits like a weekly reset. And you will be reminded that your pace is okay. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, that is another way to stay connected. I would love to have you along for the journey. Even when you have a solid weekly reset, life will still throw unexpected curveballs your way. A busy work week, a family emergency, or just plain exhaustion can make you skip your reset. That is completely normal and not a sign that you are failing at this practice. The challenge is that when you miss one reset, it can feel like you are back at square one. You might feel tempted to give up entirely because the old chaos seems to rush back in. But remember that one missed reset does not erase all the progress you have made. The key is to notice the slip without judging yourself harshly. Next, we'll talk about how to get back on track when that happens. When you slip back into old chaotic patterns, the first step is to pause and take a slow breath. Do not try to fix everything at once or schedule a long catch-up session. Instead, pick the single most helpful reset activity and do that for just 10 minutes. For example, you might clear your immediate workspace or review your upcoming week briefly. This small action rebuilds your momentum without overwhelming you. It also reminds your brain that you can still take control even after a setback. You will find that recovery gets faster each time you practice it. Now let's talk about who this approach really helps the most. This weekly reset idea helps anyone who feels overwhelmed by their daily responsibilities. It is especially useful for people who juggle work, family, and personal time without a clear structure. If you often feel like you are just reacting to whatever comes next, this practice gives you a steady anchor. It also helps people who tend to overcommit and then feel drained by the end of the week. Even if you are usually organized, a reset can help you handle unexpected changes more smoothly. The beauty is that it adapts to your life, not the other way around. You do not need to be a certain type of person to benefit from it. Next, I'll show you how to start this practice today in a simple way. To begin today, find a quiet moment and pick a regular time each week for your reset. Start with just 3 things you want to check in on: your schedule, your energy, and your priorities. Keep it short. 15 minutes is plenty for a first attempt. Write down or mentally note what felt chaotic last week and what you can adjust. Do not try to perfect everything. Just aim to feel a little more clear-headed. If you miss a week, simply start again the next week without guilt. This simple action plan works because it removes the pressure to do it all. Now let's wrap up with some final encouragement for your journey. Creating a weekly reset is not about becoming perfectly organized or eliminating all stress. It is about giving yourself a gentle, reliable way to find your footing when life feels messy. Over time, you will notice that you handle surprises with more calm and less panic. The chaos may still appear, but it will no longer define your week. This practice is worth sticking with because it builds a quiet confidence in your own ability to reset. You deserve to move through your days with less chaos and more ease. Start small, be patient with yourself, and let the reset become a habit you actually enjoy. Your future self will thank you for making this small but powerful change. So that is how you can build a weekly reset that actually makes life feel a little less chaotic. The best part is you can start with just one small piece of it this week. There is no need to get everything perfect on the first try. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to Happy Life Tribe. For more gentle encouragement and practical ideas, visit us at www.happylifetribe.com. That online community is full of support, calm living inspiration, and mindful lifestyle guidance. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope your week ahead feels a little more grounded and a little less rushed.